So
you were talking about elephants in the room, the principal one being the state of your finances. How deeply in debt are you?
Oh, well, it's hard to tell because we carry debt at the provincial level and we carry debt at the riding level. And it's very normal at this part of the cycle. Like we borrow money going into an election and we use the post-election cycle to get out of it. So one of the things that constituencies, as I said, we did actually a shift. We had $1 million more go out into the ridings for the kind of joint fundraising we do in the 4 years prior to the election. $1 million more in that period than in the preceding 4-year period. So their constituencies were in much better shape. So there's a fundraising challenge always at the end of an election, and we work together on it. And I think I'm just kind of getting people, reminding them that there's still a way to go, but we're always carrying that coming out of the election.
But
Cheryl, your report though suggests that the fundraising challenge is much worse than you originally anticipated. That the debt is much heavier than you anticipated.
Well, I think, and that's the economic downturn. Like I think we're not in any different shape. If you look at the Liberal Party as well, their donations from individuals are down too. All of us took a hit. Every political party in the country took a hit. And we're primarily funded by individual people. And you heard Laura talking about what the size of donations was. Our money comes to us in little wee bits. The Liberals get theirs in big hunts, right? So they're not as vulnerable. We're really vulnerable to an economic downturn. Like the income in my family comes from forest sector workers. You know, we're not doing well in huge parts of British Columbia, and it's reflected in our fundraising capacity. That's all. We just have to get out and work.
I'm wondering then, do you think that the party needs to rethink moving away from the labor movement? Because in the past, before it started to move away from the labor movement, there was a lot of contributions coming from unions. So does it maybe need to reestablish that connection, work harder to bring that connection back?
We're still as connected as we ever were. There's still huge commitment from working men and women in British Columbia to the party, and it shows up in the support from them as individuals and support from their unions. There's really been no change in that at all.
But there was a note that the fixed election date really does extend the time that you need to campaign. Can you just speak to me about how that affects fundraising and spending?
Well, that Sav and Laura were relating that. Well, it's basically because it's fixed. The spending starts way earlier. Back in the old days when you didn't know what was going to come, when the election was going to come, you kind of had to hold off and try to kind of guess when things were going to happen and kind of keep a powder dry, as they say, so that you were making sure that you were doing your spending in the pre-election period. Now that we know when it is, it just actually makes it a longer period, and there's a greater expectation that we're going to go out and compete against the other parties. And for us, we're funded by people that give us $20 bills and $50 bills and $100 bills. It's that much more of a challenge. So it just makes a longer period of time, and the expectations then are greater that we're out in the game sooner.
Could we put a figure on that? Nira said she thought it was in the $2 million range. Is that?
Well, that's not off. It depends how you count it.
Yeah. What would you put it at?
Well, there. You can see in the we haven't got our accounting. We'll have that. That'll be published next year when we get through year end. We're not through the year yet. Our biggest fundraising window is the end of the year. So most of our money every year comes in between September and December. Most of it in December. So we won't have a number on that debt until we're through our fundraising cycle, and that will be into January, February. So you'll see that when we publish our financial statements on Election BC's website in March.
So they were challenging the members to get out there and do some fundraising. What should they be doing?
Going out and talking to their neighbors, getting new people to join the party, asking their friends, neighbors, and members to make contributions to the party, and not being shy about it. And I'm a constituency level treasurer. I'm a constituency level fundraiser. I work in Vancouver Hastings, which is not a well-off part of the world, and we work really hard to encourage people to support the party, both on our policy initiatives and our political action, but also financially. So it's just a lot of work from everybody, and it comes in small pieces, and we have to just work and work and work at it.
What has the party done to cut costs?
Oh, well, we have reduced some services. We've got some attrition in staffing. We've done everything we can to streamline what we do. One of the things you'll notice in these financial statements, we had a big expenditure in 2008 on a database, so we retooled our database, and we're much more effective that way. technically, so that's been a real streamlining thing. It's really helping a lot. So we're always very lean and mean. We do an amazing amount of work with dedicated staff and very few resources, and a huge effort on the part of volunteers at all levels of the party. So everyone's very conscious of this and pitching in, and the amount of work that volunteers do to put on an event like this is huge. So that's what we do. We've always done it that way.